Today's objective is the percent equation, also known as direct translation. So you know that you can use a proportion to solve percent problems, such as using the is over of equals percent over 100 method. But you can also change your percent to a decimal to solve these problems. I call this direct translation because you're translating directly from the English to the math. So here we go. You need to remember that to change a percent to a decimal, you move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So 37%, it would be the decimal would be here, equals 0.37 or 37 hundredths in decimals. 28%, 0.28. 6%, 0.06. Remember, if you're moving 2 places, you have to add a 0 if necessary. If it's more than 100%, the decimal will be more than 1. So 150% equals 1.5 or 1.50. Think of it as changing from 100 back to 1. Like you took a test and got 1 out of 1 on it. You got 100%, but what was your score? A 1. All right. Other things you need to remember are is means equals in math. That's where you put your equal sign. Of tells you to multiply. And the word what is where your variable goes. So here we go. Here's our example. What is 20% of 75? Let's translate that. What, that's where we put our x, is, that's our equal sign. 20%, we need to change that to a decimal. Move it 2 places to the left, back to the left. 0.20. Of means multiply, and then 75. So now your problem is x equals 0.20 times 75. So you could either do the math, or you could think 20% of 75 is 10% twice, and we know that 10% would equal 7.5. So if we double that and get 20%, it would be 15. So I could set up a math multiplication problem, but I can just do this in my head. So I get x equals 15. So 20% of 75 is 15. Nice 5. Make that a little better. Okay, here we go. Let's do another problem. Example. What is 85% of 180? Where kids make mistakes is they always want to either have the equal sign first or the multiplication first. And where you put the equal sign and where you put the multiplication depends on what your sentence is. So this is the same as the other one. What is 85%, change that to a decimal, of 180? Okay, so now I need to multiply. And I'm going to use a calculator just to make this go a little faster. And you may use calculators on these, but you also need to know how to do it because you won't be using a calculator on the test. So I'm going to say 0.85 times 180 is 153. But what we could do, that's not a very good 5, is it? Sorry. What we could do is we could find 15% and subtract it, and that would leave us 85%, and that would be pretty easy. All right, let's do that. 10% is 18. 5% would be 9. 18 and 9 is 27. So so that's my 15%, and if I want to find 85%, I could just subtract 15 from 100 and get 85. So 180 minus 27, that's your 153 also. Okay, I'm going to erase this back. Let's do another problem. What percent of 48 is 45? This is totally different than the other one, except they both start with the word what. What percent, that's my x, and when I'm looking for the percent, my final answer has to have the percent. Of 48, so I'll put times 48, is 45. Now you know normally we don't write it in this order, so I'll write it in the correct order. 48x equals 45. Now what do? Isolate the x, divide both sides of the equation by 48. X equals, what can I reduce that by? What's 4 plus 5? 9. What's 4 plus 8? 12. What goes into both of those? 3. So divide this by 3, we get 15. Divide this by 3. 3 goes in here once. 18, we get 16. So 15 sixteenths, or since I have a calculator, I forgot I had a calculator. This is 0.9375. Now how do I change that back to a percent? Move my decimal point over 2 places. So 93.75%. And if you're using a calculator, you're not going to round, okay? And if it goes to 2 digits, you're going to leave it to two digits after the decimal point, or you're going to round to 2 digits. All right. What percent of 18 is 10? X times 18 equals 10. You want to write it the other way? 18x equals 10. Now what do? Divide by 18, divide by 18. X equals 10 over 18. What does that reduce to? 5 over 9. Do you remember that that's a repeating decimal? Anything over 9 is a repeating decimal. So it's 0.55 repeating. Put the bar over. And that would be 55 and 5/9%. Because remember, for repeating decimals in a percent, we write it as the fraction. That's the way you can tell that this is a repeating decimal in a percent. All right. How about 12 is 15% of what number? Ready? 12 equals 0.15x. Okay, so this time we have the x on the right-hand side. Divide by 0.15. Divide by 0.15. So x equals 12 divided by 0.15, which equals, I'm going to do it on my calculator. 12 divided by 0.15, 80. So if 12 is 15% of 80. That makes sense. Last but not least, 82 is 63% of what number? How are we going to write that one down? 82 equals 0.63 times x. Okay, so is where your equals goes. Of means multiply. Divide, change your percent back to a decimal. Okay, divide both sides by 0.63. X equals 82 divided by 0.63. Wow, this time I got, this is what I got, 130.15873. I don't want to write that whole thing down. I just did. I just want to round it to 2 digits past the decimal. So, you know what? Let's round this one to the whole number. So what would that be? 130. What if I wanted it to 2 digits past the decimal? What would that be? 130.16. Hope you said that. All right, that's it.